Okay, Chairman Bradbury, you can begin the meeting.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We're going to call a roll. Quazon Payne.
Here.
David Lynn.
Here.
Jeb Bradbury is here. Need to get a motion to approve the minutes from the July 21st meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I need to get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I don't believe we have any public comment, do we, Amanda?
No, sir, we do not.
All right. I need to get a motion to enter into executive session for an attorney-client conference to discuss pending litigation.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, give me just a second.
Okay, I need to get a motion to exit our executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Let's see. We are going to start homestead exemption removals.
Yes, and I will do the first item. We have two parcels that came over from the tax commissioner's office, both to be removed for 2020. The first one, parcel 122B4F10. Per the owner, she lives in Mississippi, and so the request was to remove the homestead for 2019 and 20, but Tony, the tax commissioner, took a look at it and said that it just needed to be removed for 2020. And then the second one is 173B1A16, and this gentleman stated that he's living in Brooklyn, New York, and that's where the property taxes were paid from, and his mail is going to New York. So they requested that both of these be removed for this year. I will send them a letter, and they have 45 days to appeal it.
Okay, can I get a motion for removal of these two parcels?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then number two, the request for, what is that, Amanda?
I've got
Kirk
it.
got a request, so he's going to explain that one.
All right.
All right, this is for parcel 124D2F21. And basically what this was the owner of the property, which was a guy named Stuart Katz, in 2019. And I sent y'all, it's part of the packet of paperwork. He created a trust on April 2nd, 2019. And so it's, for 2 or 3 years now, and this is one of the things we've talked to with the county attorney's office, is that anytime you file a trust document, it changes the ownership. It's a transfer of title. And so it's going from one owner to another owner. Because a trust, even though it may be in somebody's name, they may not be the beneficiaries of the trust. And so, there's a lot of steps that have to be made to see whether or not you still would qualify for homestead exemption. Either way, it's a transfer of title, and so you have to reapply for homestead exemption the following year. We actually send to the tax commissioner, which was also part of the packet that I sent to you. Amanda sends to the tax commissioner a list of all the new owners from 2019, because the tax commissioner sends them a property owner's manual for Clarke County, which basically just kind of describes to them, what Clarke County is about, the different types of exemptions, about the tax assessor's office, about the tax commissioner's office, what a millage rate means, that kind of stuff. And so they send this packet out to all the new owners. Well, all the trust, and the thing is, we used to probably get 10 of these a year. Now we get 100 of them where people are changing their name over to a trust. So we send that to them, and what the tax commissioner has actually started doing is, along with that packet, they actually send out a little note or a memo that goes along with it, and it's attached with the owner's manual that says, "Dear taxpayer, ownership of this property changed to a trust during 2019. Due to the change in ownership, the homestead was removed for 2020. Please be advised, if a beneficiary of the trust is residing in the home, that individual must come in and apply for homestead and bring a copy of the trust documents. Application must be made by April 1st, 2020 in order to be granted homestead for the 2020 tax digest year. Even if the former owner had homestead and is part of the trust and still resides in the home, a new homestead application must be made." So they spell it out. And, you know, they send this along with the little packet. And so each new owner of the trust gets this. And so what happened was, about a month or so ago, I got a call from Denise Grayson, and she's an attorney. I guess he kind of does these transfer of titles and trust and all that stuff. And she was upset because she said one of her clients had lost his homestead exemption, and said that, you know, he had lost his homestead exemption. He had called up here to our office, and somebody said everything's going to be fine, and he thought everything was going to be fine, but then he still doesn't have his homestead. And I said, "Look, I don't know anything about this. Let me figure out what's going on." So, and this is where I had the discussion with Amanda and with the tax commissioner's office, and relayed to you, or basically what I just told you about, you know, how trusts work, what we send to the tax commissioner, what they send out. And so I called Amanda, I actually emailed Miss Grayson, and then she also called me again and, you know, said, "Well, I understand all that, but Mr. Katz, he actually called up there after he got his assessment notice, and somebody in your office said everything was going to be fine. We'd take care of it." But that couldn't have come from our office, because the only two people that would have talked to him about a transfer of ownership would have been Gail or Amanda. They said they never talked to Mr. Katz. So what we think happened is he called. He said, "I got a question about my homestead." Davina sent him straight over to the tax commissioner. One of their clerks said, "Oh, you need to file for homestead," and did it all by phone. And, you know, he probably said, "Am I okay?" And they said, "Yeah, you're good." With him, you know, him not knowing that this was for next year. So Ms. Grayson wrote a letter and, you know, basically just said, you know, "Is there anything we can do?" He thought it had been handled. She said in other counties, if this, you know, changes from an owner to a trust, they just pass it through like it never changed ownership. And I said, "Well, that's not the way we do it in Clarke County, because that's not the way it should be done." And she said, "Well, we'll definitely know from now on." But she just said, "Is there anything that could be done?" And so I'm laying out the whole thing for you, and just the situation that they're in. And we do know that he did apply for homestead. We verified that, but it's not until 2021. Even if he had applied for homestead for this year, he still would have lost his floating exemption because the ownership changed. So I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, we followed the rule book, but I'm just letting y'all know of the situation because the letter that you see before you. Amanda, do you want to add anything?
I mean, no, I mean, you explained it pretty well. I had told Kirk that if I had spoken to Mr. Katz, I would have explained to him that unfortunately there was nothing we could do because he never made a timely application for the exemption for 2020. But he could have appealed it to the Board of Equalization. I mean, he has that right during the 45 days because on his assessment notice it said homestead exemption, removed / denied. And so he could have had that right to appeal it and gone to the Board of Equalization, but I never spoke with him, and Gail never talked to him either. And we've had a couple of these, unfortunately, that this has happened to, where the individuals did not come in and, refile and provide their trust documents, and so they've lost their homestead. But I don't know if we can do anything legally to, we can't go back and retroactive, applications, so, but I hate it.
Well, is this something that we have to vote on? Because it seems to me that there's not a, I mean, he missed the deadline for filing homestead on April 1st, right?
Right.
Correct.
And he missed the deadline to appeal.
And he missed the deadline to appeal. I mean, he had the opportunities. So, I mean, if he's setting up trust, he's obviously an educated guy. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything we can do for it. Unless we want to go down that slippery slope of doing stuff like that, which I don't want to do. You got a comment, David?
No, I don't. No. I know Dr. Katz. He's a very smart gentleman. I hate it for him, but it seems fairly clear.
How much money are we talking about?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at it. I mean, from that standpoint, I mean, he'd be talking about the value of a homestead exemption, so a little over $300.
Yeah. I mean, if we need to get a motion and vote on it, I'll be happy to do that.
I don't think anything needs to be. I'm not sure, though.
I'm in support of the
Any advice from the attorney's office?
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the mute button today. As soon as it's on your agenda, it may be appropriate to, if it's the board's desire, it sounds like from the discussion that y'all agree with the decision that the tax assessment staff made, even though it's a difficult decision, obviously. But if that's the decision that you agree with, then it may be worth just taking a quick vote to affirm that decision.
Well, let me get a motion. Let me get a motion to deny.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now we're going to conservation use.
And I will go over that. This is for parcel 153001A. It is titled, it's in the name of Swinehart Investment LP. It was previously denied because when we checked the income, there was minuscule, small amount of income, but it was received that it was not conservation use income. And so the board denied their conservation use application. So they received their letter and assessment notice. And so on June 3rd, they sent an appeal letter appealing, the denial. And I called and spoke to one of the owners of the property and told her the situation. She was going to speak to her accountant and the attorney. And then on June 22nd, we received another appeal letter. And it basically stated that they were officially appealing it and that after consulting with their attorneys and tax consultants, it is their belief that the state law allows for their eligibility. And they used 4857.4, Section 3, Item 4, where it says, we interpret this as meaning interest earned on monies that are reserved for the future conservation of said property should not disqualify us from conservation use. please consider this as an affidavit that is our intent. And so I sent that information to John. John took a look at it, and we talked about if that is in fact the case, that the Swanharts could do an affidavit of those funds swearing that what little money, and we're talking $952, I think, is specifically reserved for maintenance of the property and future conservation use purposes and for efforts. And so on July 21st, they provided an affidavit where one of the agents for Swanhart Investment signed it. It was notarized. I'm fine with the information that they provided. Kirk, I think, is okay with it as well, and we feel that this is enough to approve their conservation use application. Do y'all have any questions?
And y'all got a copy of the affidavit.
Yeah, I read it.
I'm good. Yep.
All right, well, let's get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Some motion to approve, right?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Conservation use. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're moving on to landmark historic.
Okay, we've got 4 landmark historic. They've gone through all the proper channels through planning and, you know, applying for the landmark historic. You know, it certainly falls within the Department of Natural Resources, and it's in a historic district. The parcels are all owned by Brian Weaver. Parcel 17183A1, which is at 601 West Hancock Avenue. 17183A11, which is 446 Reese Street. 17183A12, which is 424 Reese Street. And 17183F2, which is 447 Reese Street. These are all in the Reese Street Historical District, and it would be our recommendation that they be approved and they would go into effect for 2021.
When I looked at these, one of these was in a girl's name. I mean, it same last name. It could have been a wife or a sister or something. Is that
Right?
Is that right?
Yes. I started to say Brian Weaver or affiliation.
Can he apply on the behalf of somebody else?
I would assume so.
I mean, I know it qualifies and everything. Just don't want to get in that
Yeah.
technicality.
Right. They didn't have an issue with it at the planning department when they took the application. So I don't think it would be an issue.
Okay. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve all these?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, digest appeal update.
All right, we got a letter that we provided to y'all from the Department of Revenue about the 2019 digest. It was submitted last year on July the 30th. In that review, that they've determined that all of our values are uniform and equalized. Therefore, the 2019 Clarke County Digest has been approved as submitted. And so basically that means that after the Department of Audits has done their study to see, how we met the COD, PRD, and all the median ratios for all the classes of property, we met everything. And so the 2019 digest is good to go. Y'all don't have to vote on anything. And then, our last meeting, we were getting stuff prepared to submit the digest for 2020. We met with the Department of Revenue, and this was July the 28th. And we met with them, presented all the documents. They went through them. Everything was fine. And so they gave the order to begin the collection of the 2020 ad valorem taxes. So what that basically that does is that they say everything looks good, all the paperwork is in order, and that gives the tax commissioner the ability to go ahead and issue tax bills for 2020. That's not always the case. I know I've known of plenty of counties that have gone and made presentation, and for whatever reason something was missing, and so they had to go back to the drawing board. But everything was good, so we should be, the 2020 digest is ready to move forward. And again, that's nothing y'all have to vote on, information that was in your packet.
Kurt, thank
Since
you.
our last meeting, which was, I guess, 3 weeks ago, we've resolved about 300 more appeals. So we're down to about 550. Before you is a list of parcels that have been settled or withdrawn since the last meeting. And again, these are just since the last meeting. So when did we meet?
July 21st.
July 21st? Okay. So I would ask y'all to adopt all of these values as presented.
Can I get a motion?
So moved as staff stated.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Also before you is a list of appeals where we've sent them a 30-day notice, which means we've reviewed it, discussed it with them most of the time, and did make a revision to the value. So we've sent them and a lot of times what happens here is these are people that they want to know what the value is, but they also want to know what the new tax amount is. And so the notice has all of that information on it. And so we've sent these 30-day notices, and for the most part, we don't expect them to reappeal. We do on occasion have some people that will appeal the 30-day notice, but most of the time we've kind of already said, look, this is what we're going to do, and they're fine with it. But this is a list of 30-day notices that we've sent since the last meeting. I need y'all to adopt those.
So moved as stated by staff.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
As I mentioned a while ago, we've got about 550 appeals that are left. We will start the process of certifying some of those to the Board of Equalization because, we've already identified appeals that we're just not going to be able to come to an understanding. And so we will need to certify those on. I'm going to meet with the clerk of court next week, Beverly Logan, because they've got to figure out exactly how they're going to have the Board of Equalization hearings. So they've got to figure that out. So I know I'm going to be just talking to her just to figure out, is there anything we've got to do different? So we still don't know exactly how that's going to look. But, we will have some definitely going to the Board of Equalization. And then hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will be ready to roll over to the 2021 digest and start on next year. So that's kind of where we are in the process. Hopefully at the next meeting, we'll be giving y'all the 2021 digest calendar. Just kind of letting you know what we'll be doing at different months along the road for getting the 2021 digest prepared.
Okay. Anything else? We'll move on down to other. Wanted to talk about our meeting schedule for the rest of the year. Are we scheduled for the Thursdays now throughout the rest of the year?
We're currently scheduled for the second Thursday of every month at 5 p.m. Of course, our meeting room is up at City Hall, but we've been unable to meet there.
Okay, well, I'm gonna see if we can get a motion to move these meetings to 4 o'clock, these virtual meetings. Is that appropriate? Is that good with you, David?
That's fine.
All right, let me get that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we got any other business anybody needs to talk about? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.